The message came on a quiet Tuesday morning. Every screen on Earth lit up at once, from Times Square billboards to simple mobile phones. The image showed a tall figure made of what looked like living crystal, its sharp edges catching light that seemed to come from nowhere. Humanity's first contact with alien life wasn't a greeting, it was a threat. People of Earth, the crystal being spoke in perfect English, its voice deep and cold. I am Admiral Stone, as you would say in your language. I represent the Galactic Council, the governing body of civilized space. The being paused, its crystalline features shifting in what might have been disappointment. We have been watching your kind for some time now. You have become too dangerous to ignore any longer. In the White House Situation Room, President Thompson gripped the edge of the table, his knuckles white. Around him, military leaders and scientists sat in stunned silence. On the main screen, Admiral Stone continued his speech to Earth. You humans are unique in a troubling way, Stone said. Every other species we have encountered follows a natural path. They discover tools, build societies, create comfort for themselves. And then they stop. They rest. They enjoy the peace they have built. The Admiral's crystal form pulsed with what looked like frustration. But not humans. You achieve comfort, and still you push forward. You have no predators, yet you prepare for war. You have enough food, yet you seek better ways to grow it. You can travel anywhere on your world, yet you look to the stars with hunger. In a small apartment in London, Tom Baker watched the broadcast on his phone, his morning coffee forgotten and cold. His engineering textbooks lay open on the table, filled with notes about theoretical space travel, dreams that had suddenly become very real and very dangerous. This drive of yours, Stone continued, this endless push forward, it makes you unstable, unpredictable. In our experience, species like yours either destroy themselves or, he paused meaningfully, they must be controlled. The streets of every major city filled with people. Some prayed, some cried, some stood in defiant silence. In Beijing, Tokyo, New York, and countless other cities, millions looked up at the sky, wondering if alien ships lurked above the clouds. The Galactic Council has made its decision. You have two options. Stone's crystal body grew darker, more threatening. Option 1. Surrender your advanced technology. Return to a simpler state. We will guide your regression to a safe level of development. You may keep basic comforts, medicine, agriculture, simple machines, but no more computers, no space travel, no weapons beyond the most basic tools of defense. In Moscow, General Petrov watched the broadcast from his command center deep underground. His finger hovered over the nuclear launch controls, but he knew it would be useless. Any civilization capable of reaching Earth would laugh at such primitive weapons. Option 2, Stone said, his voice growing colder, is extinction. We have done it before. Species that refuse to be tamed cannot be allowed to threaten galactic peace. At the United Nations, representatives from every nation watched in horror. Centuries of conflicts between nations suddenly seemed meaningless in the face of this threat to all humanity. You have 48 Earth hours to decide, Stone declared. If you choose surrender, disable your most advanced technology and wait. We will come to verify your compliance. If you choose resistance, the crystal being's form darkened to almost black. Then we will do what must be done. The screens went dark. For a moment, the whole world held its breath. At a secret facility in Nevada, Captain James Walker ran through underground corridors, alarms blaring around him. He reached a secure briefing room where other military leaders had gathered. On the main screen, satellite data showed something massive appearing at the edge of the solar system. The Council's ships, waiting. They're really here, someone whispered. What do we do? Walker looked at the gathered officers, his jaw set firm. We fight, he said simply, but not the way they expect. In the next 24 hours, humanity showed why the Council feared them. Instead of panicking, they planned. Instead of fighting each other, they united. Every scientist, engineer, and strategist on Earth worked together, sharing secrets and breakthroughs that had been hidden away in classified files. Dr. Emma Rogers, leading quantum physicist, discovered something interesting in the signal used to broadcast Stone's message. "Look at this pattern," she told the Emergency Scientific Council. "Their technology isn't just advanced. It's different. They don't think like us. Maybe that's why they fear us." In orbit, the International Space Station crew reported strange readings. The Council ships hadn't moved closer, but they were doing something to the edge of the solar system. "It looks like a barrier," reported Commander Williams. "They're boxing us in." As the first day ended, President Thompson addressed the world. "They call our drive to improve ourselves dangerous," he said. "They see our curiosity as a threat. But these things they fear, our creativity, our determination, our unwillingness to accept limitations, these are not our weaknesses. They are our greatest strengths." Deep beneath the Nevada desert, Captain Walker prepared his crew. The Defiance, humanity's first true starship, had been a secret project, experimental and dangerous. Now it was perhaps their only hope. His tactical officer, Kate Miller, worked on battle plans while science officer Robert Gray studied the alien transmission data. "Their technology is incredible," Gray said, looking up from his screens. "But it's rigid, predictable. They've had so long to perfect their methods that they've forgotten how to adapt." Miller nodded, her eyes bright with realization. "And that's why they fear us. We're messy, creative. We try things that shouldn't work, and somehow we make them work anyway." As the second day dawned, humanity had made its choice, not in a formal vote or declaration, but in millions of small acts of defiance. People didn't shut down their computers or ground their aircraft. Instead, they worked harder, pushed further, proved with every action why humans were different. Walker stood on the bridge of the Defiance, hidden in its underground dock. His crew was ready. They had one shot at this, one chance to show the galaxy why humanity's drive to exceed its limits wasn't a flaw, but a gift. "They think we're dangerous because we never stop pushing forward," he told his crew. "Well, they're right. We are dangerous to those who would hold back progress, to those who would choose stagnation over growth, to those who would trade freedom for comfort." The countdown reached 0. Admiral Stone's deadline had arrived. The alien ships began to move, advancing slowly toward Earth. But humanity wasn't waiting in fear. All across the planet, a plan was in motion. A typically human plan, both brilliant and crazy, exactly the kind of thinking that had made the Council fear them in the first place. As the alien fleet approached, Captain Walker gave the order. The Defiance's engines hummed to life, and deep beneath the Nevada desert, humanity prepared to show the galaxy exactly why they were considered the most dangerous species in known space. Not because they were violent, not because they were cruel, but because they simply refused to accept that anything was impossible. The real war was about to begin, and humanity was ready to prove that their greatest strength wasn't their weapons or their technology. It was their unbreakable spirit and their ability to do the unexpected. The Defiance rose through its hidden launch tube, its experimental engines barely making the sound. Captain Walker watched his crew work with pride. Each person moved with purpose, knowing the fate of Earth rested on their shoulders. The ship's cloaking system, copied from studying the alien broadcast technology, would hide them from the Council's fleet, at least for a while. "Status report," Walker called out, his voice steady despite the tension. Kate Miller checked her tactical display. "Council ships are spreading out in attack formation. They're moving slowly, probably hoping we'll surrender at the last minute." She smiled grimly. "They really don't understand humans at all." Robert Gray spoke up from his science station, his fingers flying over the controls. "The barrier they created around the solar system is some kind of energy net. But look at this." He pointed to his screen. "There are gaps. Small ones. They're so sure of themselves they didn't even make it perfect. The Defiance slipped through Earth's atmosphere like a ghost. Below them, cities continued to shine defiantly. Humanity had refused to power down their technology. Instead, they had spent the last hours preparing for a fight unlike anything in human history. Signal from command, Miller reported. Operation Trojan is ready. Walker nodded. The plan was typically human, complex, creative, and just crazy enough to work, while the Council expected them to either surrender or fight head-on. Humanity had chosen a third option. The first Council ships entered Earth's atmosphere. Their designs were beautiful but practical, all smooth lines and efficient shapes. They moved in perfect formation, like a well-rehearsed dance. That was their weakness. They were predictable. Admiral Stone is broadcasting again, Gray announced. The crystal being's image appeared on their screen. Your time has expired, Stone declared. You have chosen extinction. We will make it quick, at least. Your species has courage, if not wisdom. Walker signaled to cut the transmission. They think courage without wisdom is a weakness, he said to his crew. Let's show them how wrong they are. The Defiance climbed higher, still hidden by its cloaking field. The Council ships began their attack, firing warning shots into uninhabited areas. They expected panic. They expected chaos. Instead, they got Operation Trojan. All across Earth, military bases launched missiles, old-fashioned weapons that the Council easily destroyed. But while they were distracted, the real plan went into action. Hidden transmitters activated, broadcasting on the same frequency the Council had used for their first message. What are they doing? Stone's voice came through again, showing the first signs of confusion. These attacks are primitive, uncoordinated. Where is their advanced technology? The Council ships moved closer, their sensors searching for Earth's real defenses. That's when humanity played their first card. The transmitters weren't weapons. They were broadcasting a signal that copied and amplified the Council's own communication network. Sir, Miller called out. It's working. Their ships are getting flooded with false readings. Their perfect formation is breaking up. Walker allowed himself a small smile. Launch Phase 2. Around the world, more hidden devices activated. These were based on the same principles as the Council's barrier technology, but modified in ways the aliens had never considered. Humans had taken their advanced technology and done what humans always did, found new ways to use it. The Council ships began to drift apart, their perfect coordination shattered by conflicting signals. Some started moving in random directions, their navigation systems confused by the flood of false data. They're panicking, Gray reported, studying his readings. Their technology is so standardized, so perfect, that they never planned for it to be used against them like this. Walker watched the chaos spreading through the enemy fleet. Take us in. Time to introduce ourselves. The Defiance dropped its cloak, appearing suddenly in the middle of the scattered Council fleet. The ship was smaller than the alien vessels, but it moved with a grace that matched theirs. As planned, they targeted the largest ship, Admiral Stone's command vessel. Broadcasting on their frequency, Miller announced. Walker stood up. Admiral Stone, he said clearly, you called us dangerous because we never stopped pushing forward. You're right. But you made a mistake. You showed us your technology, thinking we couldn't possibly understand it in time. You forgot what humans do best. We adapt, we learn, and we never, ever give up. Through the view screen, they could see Stone's ship turning to face them. The crystal being appeared on their screen, his form clouded with what might have been concern. Impossible, Stone said. You cannot have mastered our technology so quickly. This is some trick. No trick, Walker replied. Just human ingenuity. While you were waiting for us to either surrender or die, we studied your transmission. We learned how your systems work, and we found ways to use them that you never imagined. As if to prove his point, the Defiance executed a maneuver that should have been impossible, slipping through gaps in space that the Council's rigid thinking had never considered exploiting. "You have had this technology for mere hours," Stone protested. "We have perfected it over centuries." "That's exactly the problem," Walker said. "You perfected it. You stopped looking for new ways to use it. You stopped pushing forward." He paused, letting his words sink in. "But we never will." Around them, the Council fleet was in disarray. Earth's transmitters had turned their own orderly technology against them, creating a web of conflicting signals and commands. Their ships, designed to work in perfect harmony, couldn't handle the chaos. "Look at your fleet, Admiral," Walker continued. "They can't adapt. They can't think creatively. Every ship runs on the same protocols, follows the same rules. It makes you incredibly powerful when everything works perfectly. But what happens when something unexpected comes along?" Stone's crystalline form darkened. "You have made your point, human. But do not think this demonstration changes anything. We are still far more powerful than you." "Are you?" Walker asked. "Because right now, your ships can't coordinate. Their sensors are overwhelmed. Their navigation systems are compromised. And you still haven't noticed our second ship." This was humanity's real surprise. While the Council had focused on the Defiance, a second ship, the Hope, had slipped through their barrier. Even now, it was approaching the massive energy net that enclosed the solar system. "What you call dangerous," Walker said, "we call progress. What you see as a threat, we see as an opportunity. You wanted us to stop pushing forward, to accept limitations. Instead, we took your own technology and found new ways to use it in less than 2 days." The Hope reached the barrier. Its mission was simple but revolutionary. It would use the Council's own containment technology to trap their fleet inside the solar system. The hunters would become the hunted. Stone realized what was happening too late. "Stop," he commanded. "You don't understand what you're doing." "No," Walker replied calmly. "You don't understand what we're doing. And that's exactly why humanity is too dangerous for you to control. We don't think like you. We don't play by your rules. And we're about to show you exactly what that means." Admiral Stone's crystal form pulsed with dark colors as he watched his fleet struggle against the humans' creative use of Council technology. But instead of showing fear, he began to laugh. A sound like wind chimes in a storm. "Clever, humans. Very clever," he said. "But did you think we wouldn't have backup plans? That we haven't dealt with rebellious species before?" He gestured, and new ships began appearing at the edge of the solar system. "Meet some of our previous students." Walker and his crew watched as strange vessels entered the space around Earth. Some looked like living coral, others like clouds of metallic dust. Their designs were completely different from the Council's ships, but they moved with the same rigid precision. "Sir," Gray called out from his science station, "I'm detecting signals from those ships. They're trying to communicate with us." The main screen split into several images. Each showed a different alien species. Some looked like waves of water given form, others like living stone. Their messages came through in basic English, translated by the same technology that let stone speak to Earth. "Humans," said one of the water-like beings, "we are the blue ones, as you would call us. We were like you once. The Council came to our world too." Another alien, this one looking like a boulder with glowing cracks, spoke next. "We are the rock dwellers. We fought them, as you do now. We lost. They took our dreams of the stars." Walker looked at his crew, then back at the screen. "They forced you to give up your technology, to stop advancing." "Yes," the blue one replied, its watery form rippling with what might have been sadness. "We were told it was for the best. That progress leads to destruction. That peace requires limitation." Stone's image dominated the screen again. These species learned their lesson. They found contentment in simplicity. They serve the Council now, helping us guide other young races toward peaceful stability. But Walker noticed something in the other aliens' transmissions, a hidden signal buried under their main broadcast. Gray noticed it too, his fingers flying over his console as he decoded it. "Captain," Gray whispered, "the other species, they're sending us data, hidden in their official transmissions, star charts, technical specifications, tactical information about the Council's ships." Walker kept his face neutral, not wanting Stone to realize what was happening. "Admiral," he said, "you show us these species as examples of your success. But I see something different. I see the ghosts of murdered dreams, the shadows of wings you clipped." The Blue One's official transmission continued promoting the Council's peace, but their hidden message told a different story. "We remember the stars, humans. We remember what it was to dream. Your resistance awakened something in us we thought long dead." Miller, monitoring the tactical situation, spoke quietly. "Sir, the new ships, they're moving into attack formation, but they're being sloppy about it. Almost like they're giving us openings on purpose," Walker finished. He understood now. These species hadn't forgotten their dreams. They'd hidden them away, waiting for a chance, for someone to show them that resistance was possible. Stone was still talking, explaining the benefits of controlled development, when Walker cut him off. "Admiral, you made another mistake. You showed us we're not alone. You thought it would frighten us, showing us other species that surrendered. Instead, you gave us allies." The crystal being's form sharpened, edges becoming dangerous. "Allies? These species are loyal to the Council. They understand the true path to peace." Walker smiled. "Do they? Or have they just been waiting for someone to remind them what it means to be free?" That's when the Blue One's ship fired, not at the Defiance, but at Stone's command vessel. The rock dwellers followed suit, their ships breaking formation to protect Earth's ships instead of attacking them. "What is this?" Stone's voice crackled with rage. "Centuries of loyalty, thrown away. For what?" "For the same thing that makes us dangerous," Walker replied. "The desire to grow, to explore, to become more than we are. You didn't tame these species, Admiral. You just taught them to hide their light. But it never went out. The battle above Earth transformed. What had been a confrontation between humanity and the Council became something more, a revolution. Species that had been forced into submission for centuries found their courage again, inspired by humanity's refusal to surrender their dreams." Gray's console lit up with incoming transmissions. "Sir, more ships are dropping out of faster than light travel. Other suppressed species, all broadcasting their support." The Defiance moved through the chaos of battle like a dancer, its human crew working within creativity that the Council couldn't match. Walker watched as their allies, ancient species reawakening to their own potential, began to remember how to think freely again. "You see, Admiral," Walker said, "what makes humanity dangerous isn't our technology or our weapons. It's our ability to inspire others, to remind them that settling for comfortable chains is never the answer." Stone's image flickered as his ship took another hit. "You doomed them all. Progress without control leads to chaos, to destruction." "No," Walker replied firmly. "Progress without courage leads to stagnation. You're so afraid of the unknown that you'd rather cage the entire galaxy than face it. But humanity will never accept that. And neither will they, not anymore." The Blue One's hidden transmission came through again. "We watched our children forget how to dream of the stars. We told ourselves it was for the best. But seeing you, humans, seeing your fierce joy in discovery, your relentless push forward, we remember now. We remember who we were meant to be." All around Earth, the battle was turning. The Council's perfect formations couldn't handle the unpredictable tactics of species remembering how to think for themselves. Ships that had been built for control were being outmaneuvered by crews rediscovering their creativity. "It's not too late, Admiral," Walker offered. "The Council could change, could remember that safe stability isn't worth the cost of lost dreams. You could learn to embrace progress again, to see it as an opportunity instead of a threat." Stone's crystal form had dulled, its once bright surfaces growing cloudy. You don't understand what you're doing. The chaos you'll unleash. We understand perfectly, Walker responded. We're choosing freedom over fear, growth over stagnation. And we're helping others remember how to choose too. The Rock Dweller's transmission added. The Council taught us to fear change. Humans teach us to embrace it, to see the beauty in the unknown. We choose humanity's path. Stone watched as his perfect fleet fell into disarray, as centuries of control crumbled in the face of reawakened dreams. And perhaps in that moment, even he began to remember what it felt like to look at the stars and wonder what mysteries they held. The revolution had begun. Humanity had done what it did best, not just fighting for their own freedom to progress, but inspiring others to remember their own strength, their own dreams, their own untamed desire to reach for the stars. Above Earth, a new alliance was forming, not one built on control and limitation, but on shared dreams of discovery. Humanity had shown the galaxy why they were dangerous, not because they were violent, but because they carried within them an unquenchable spark that could ignite long-buried hopes in others. The real war was just beginning, but its first battle had been won not with weapons, but with inspiration. Humanity had proven itself the most dangerous force in the galaxy, not by destroying their enemies, but by awakening their allies to their own forgotten potential. The Council's main fleet arrived 3 days later. Hundreds of crystal ships filled the space around Earth, their formations perfect and threatening. But they found something unexpected. Their barrier technology, meant to trap Earth, now protected it. The combined knowledge of humanity and their new allies had turned the Council's own weapon against them. Walker stood on the Defiance's bridge, watching the massive fleet approach. Behind him, representatives from Earth's new allies crowded the command center. The blue ones had taken human form out of respect, looking like people made of flowing water. The rock dwellers stayed in their natural state, their crystalline bodies glowing with inner light. They brought their entire enforcement fleet. The blue one leader, who called himself Rivers, said, "They've never needed to do that before." Miller checked her tactical display. "Their ships are stronger than anything we've seen. But they're still using the same old patterns, the same technology. They haven't learned." "Why should they?" Gray asked, looking up from his science station. "Their way worked for thousands of years, until they met humans." The main screen lit up with a new transmission. This wasn't Stone, but something even more impressive. The Council leader itself. It appeared as a being of pure light, its voice echoing with power. "This rebellion ends now," it declared. "You have corrupted our protected species with your chaos. The natural order must be restored." Walker stepped forward. "Your natural order is just another word for prison. These species didn't need protection. They needed freedom to grow." The Council leader's light pulsed with anger. "We have kept peace in this galaxy for millennia. Progress leads to war. Innovation leads to destruction. We prevent this." "No," Walker replied. "You prevent life. Real life. With all its messy growth and change. You're so afraid of the bad things that might happen that you stop all the good things that could happen." Around Earth, the combined fleet of humanity and their allies prepared for battle. But this wasn't a normal military formation. Each ship had been modified in unique ways, combining the different technologies and ideas of all the species involved. It was beautiful chaos, exactly what the Council feared most. "Your weapons cannot harm our ships," the Council leader said. "Our technology is perfect, refined over centuries." "Perfect things break," Walker answered. "Refined things can't adapt. But we can." He nodded to Gray. "Show them what we've been working on." Gray pressed a button, and across the rebel fleet, new devices activated. They were ugly things, cobbled together from human inspiration. Blue One water-shaping technology, and rock dweller crystal manipulation. They shouldn't have worked at all, but they did. The Council ship's perfect crystal hulls began to vibrate. Their rigid formations started to waver. "Impossible." The council leader whispered, "You cannot affect our technology this way. The frequencies are protected, the harmonics are exactly what we expected," Walker finished, "because you never changed them. You found one way that worked and stuck to it. Humans, we try new things. Sometimes they fail. Sometimes they look ugly. But sometimes." The first council ship's crystal hull cracked, its perfect structure disrupted by the chaotic frequencies being broadcast by the rebel fleet. Others followed, their crews forced to shut down their main systems to prevent complete failure. "This is why you fear us," Walker continued. "Not because we're violent, but because we're willing to fail, to look foolish, to try things that shouldn't work." The rock dweller leader, who humans called Stone Speaker, moved forward. "We remember now, council leader. Before you came, my people shaped crystals in ways you called primitive. But we could do things you never imagined, because we weren't afraid to experiment." River added his voice. "The blue ones once danced between stars on streams of pure possibility. You taught us to fear our own dreams, but humans taught us to dream again." The council leader's light flickered with what might have been uncertainty. "You would throw away centuries of peace for this chaos. Peace without growth is death," Walker said. "Look at your fleet, the finest ships in the galaxy, and they're helpless because they all have the exact same weakness. That's what happens when you stop moving forward." The battle wasn't really a battle at all. The council's ships, for all their power and perfection, couldn't handle the combined creativity of species remembering how to think freely. Their formations broke apart as each ship captain was forced to think independently for the first time in centuries. "Their command structure is collapsing," Miller reported with a smile. "They don't know how to operate without perfect coordination." Gray added, "The frequency disruptors are working better than we hoped. Their crystal technology is actually helping spread the effect from ship to ship." Walker watched as the mighty council fleet fell into disarray. "You know what's really interesting?" he said to the council leader. "We didn't even build weapons. We just found a new way to use the technology you already had. That's human ingenuity. We don't always make new things. Sometimes we just see new ways to use old things." The council leader's light had dimmed significantly. "You cannot comprehend the dangers of unrestricted progress. The horrors we have seen." "Maybe," Walker acknowledged. "But we'd rather face those dangers than live in a cage. And now that you've shown us what's out there, now that we've helped others remember their own strength, you can't put this genie back in the bottle." Around them, more ships were appearing. Not council vessels, but ships from dozens of other protected species, all answering the call of freedom. Each one was different, showing signs of creativity breaking through centuries of enforced stagnation. "Your fleet is surrounded," Miller announced, "and our allies have adapted the disruptor technology to their own ships. You have no advantage left." The council leader's image flickered. "You would destroy the work of millennia, the peace we built." "No," Walker said firmly. "We're offering you a choice. Join us. Remember what it was like to discover, to create, to reach for new things. Help us build something better than enforced peace. Help us build a future where every species can grow, can contribute their unique perspectives and abilities." River moved forward. "The blue ones choose this path. We remember now what it means to flow free." "The rock dwellers stand with humanity," Stone Speaker declared. "We will shape new crystals, new dreams." One by one, representatives of other species added their voices. Each one remembered something their people had lost: songs, dreams, inventions, possibilities. The council's perfect peace had cost them all so much. The council leader's light pulsed erratically. "And if we refuse, if we fight to maintain order," Walker smiled sadly, "then you'll lose, not because we're stronger, but because we're willing to change, to adapt, to find new solutions. You can only fight one way. We can fight 1,000 ways. And we'll keep thinking of new ones." The combined fleet hung in space, waiting. In this moment, the galaxy balanced between two futures, one of safe stagnation and one of dangerous, beautiful growth. The council leader faced a choice that represented everything they had fought against for thousands of years. But perhaps watching their perfect fleet drift in disarray, seeing the light of creativity rekindling in species they thought long tamed, even they could feel something long forgotten stirring in their ancient heart. The time had come for the galaxy to remember how to dream. The council leader's light dimmed to almost nothing, then suddenly blazed brighter than ever. But this time, the light wasn't cold and perfect. It swirled with colors, showing hints of chaos within its order. In all our history, the leader said slowly, no species has done what humanity has achieved in mere days. You didn't just resist us. You awakened something we thought we had eliminated from the galaxy forever. Walker watched the leader carefully. Around him, the combined fleet of humanity and their allies waited. The rock dwellers glowed with inner fire. The blue ones flowed like living rivers through their ship's corridors. Dozens of other species, each remembering their own unique strengths, stood ready. Hope, Walker said simply. We awakened hope. More than that, the leader replied. You awakened change. The beam's light shifted again, showing patterns that hadn't been seen in millennia. We remember now. Before we were the council, before we decided that safety was worth any price, we were explorers too. The council fleet hung motionless in space. On their crystal ships, crews who had never questioned orders in their lives waited to see what would happen next. The perfect harmony that had ruled the galaxy for so long had been shattered. But something new was being born in its place. Admiral Stone's image appeared beside the leaders. His crystal form had changed, showing cracks that glowed with inner light. Captain Walker, he said, you were right. We became so focused on preventing disaster that we created a different kind of catastrophe. We killed the spirit of entire civilizations. Not killed. Miller spoke up from her tactical station. You couldn't kill it completely. That's why you were so afraid of humans. We reminded everyone that the spirit of exploration, of growth, never really dies. Gray added, every species has it. It's not unique to humans. We just refuse to let it be buried. The council leader's light pulsed in what might have been agreement. We thought we were protecting the galaxy, creating a perfect, unchanging peace. But the cost. The being's voice held ancient sadness. The cost was too high. River, the blue one leader, moved forward. His water form rippled with emotion. My people have lived in the shadows of our own greatness for 1,000 years. We told ourselves we were happy, safe, content. But seeing humanity's light, it woke us up, showed us what we'd lost. And now, the council leader asked, what would you have us do? Simply abandon all control. Let chaos reign. Walker smiled. No, we're not asking for chaos. We're asking for balance. You've seen what happens when you try to control everything. Now see what happens when you guide and support instead. On the main screen, images appeared from Earth. Cities where ancient architecture stood beside modern buildings. Forests carefully preserved next to advanced factories. People using the latest technology to protect endangered species. The constant dance between progress and preservation. Humans understand the need for control. Walker continued. But we also understand that too much control kills something vital in thinking beings. There's a middle path. Stone Speaker, the rock dweller leader, raised their crystalline form. Look at what we've already created together. They gestured to the combined fleet, where ships of different species had adapted and combined their technologies in new ways. This is not chaos. This is collaboration, growth, life. The council leader's light shifted again, and this time the colors that swirled within it were stronger, more vibrant. Perhaps we have been wrong. Not in wanting to protect, but in how we try to achieve it. Across the rebel fleet, ships' crews held their breath. This was the moment that would decide the galaxy's future. The council leader's next words would shape the destiny of countless species. We offer a new compact, the leader said finally. Not as rulers, but as guides. We have knowledge gathered over millennia. Instead of using it to restrict, we could use it to help species avoid the worst mistakes of progress while finding their own paths forward. Admiral Stone's crystal form brightened. The council would not end, but would change. Instead of enforcing stagnation, we could help maintain balance, offer guidance without demanding compliance. Walker looked at his crew, at the allies who had risked everything for a chance at a better future. That's all we ever wanted. The freedom to move forward, with wisdom to guide us, but not chains to bind us. The leader's light pulsed one final time, and in that pulse was something that had been missing from the council for thousands of years: hope. Then let us begin again. Let us learn from humanity's example. Progress need not mean destruction. Change need not mean chaos. Across the combined fleet, celebrations began. Species that had been separated by the Council's restrictions for millennia started sharing their stories, their dreams, their unique ways of seeing the universe. The blue ones taught others about flowing with change. The rock dwellers shared their deep understanding of persistence and growth. There will be problems, the Council leader warned. Conflicts, mistakes. Of course, Walker agreed. That's part of being alive. But look what we've already achieved by working together. Imagine what we can do now. The great crystal ships of the Council fleet began to power down their weapons. In their place, communication channels opened. The rigid formations broke apart as individual ships began to interact with the species they had once sought to control. Stone's crystal form had completely transformed, now showing swirling patterns that matched his new understanding. I once called humanity dangerous, he said. I was right, but not in the way I thought. You are dangerous to stagnation, to enforced conformity, to the idea that safety is worth giving up all chance of growth. That's the real strength of humanity, Walker replied. Not our technology or our weapons or even our creativity. It's our ability to show others that change is possible, that it's never too late to remember how to dream. The Council leader's light had stabilized into a warm glow that contained all colors, all possibilities. Then let this be known across the galaxy. The age of control is over. The age of guided growth begins. And it began because humanity showed us all what we had forgotten. As the sun rose over Earth, its light fell on a changed galaxy. Ships of 100 species flew together, sharing knowledge that had been locked away for centuries. The Council's crystal ships flew among them, not as overseers, but as partners in a grand new experiment. And on the bridge of the Defiance, Captain Walker and his crew watched the dawn of this new age. They had done what humans do best, not just surviving, not just winning, but inspiring others to reach for their own stars. So, Miller asked with a smile, what do we do next? Walker looked out at the vast galaxy that had suddenly opened up to them all. What humans always do, he replied. We keep moving forward. We keep exploring. We keep showing the galaxy that the most dangerous force isn't weapons or technology. It's hope, Gray finished quietly. Hope and the courage to change. The stars seemed brighter somehow, as if they too were celebrating the return of wonder to the galaxy. Humanity had proved itself the most dangerous force in space, not through destruction, but through inspiration. They had shown that the greatest power in the universe wasn't the ability to control or restrict. It was the ability to look at the stars and dream of what might be.